last year I made a full overview test drive and night videos, like series of videos on a 2020 EcoBoost 4-cylinder Mustang, and it was a manual transmission. This is a 2021 high-performance 2.3 liter 4-cylinder Mustang with a 10-speed automatic transmission. There's a lot of overlap. They're basically the same vehicles except for the automatic transmission versus the manual. The seats are the same thing. It just feels about the same thing. But the automatic transmission makes a big difference as far as fun to drive ability. It's just, the manual transmission is better, in my opinion. Now this one does have the paddle shifters. It does have the 10-speed automatic transmission, which that's a lot of gears. And for a 4-cylinder, it's a lot of shifting going on. And also it tries to, if you have it in regular drive mode, as opposed to say sport or track, it will try to hold on to those really high gears. So it gives you a low RPMs, and it feels a little weak at times because the transmission wants to hold on to the lower RPMs, and that's not where the most power comes in. With the turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, the power is in the higher RPMs. As far as the horsepower, it's actually like all the way almost to red line is where you're having maximum horsepower. Torque is about mid-range. So when you're driving the automatic transmission, unless you have it in sport or something, it's going to feel like it's straining sometimes because it wants to hold on to those lower gears, or the higher gears, which gives you a lower RPM. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, it's trying to give you the best fuel economy, basically. Another thing is, with the automatic transmission, is that with all the shifting, since it has a loud exhaust, there's 10 gears, you can tell the shifts. It's like constantly shifting all the time, and you can tell, you can pick up on it because of the louder exhaust. Now you can quiet the exhaust. It does have the options to make the exhaust a little bit quieter, but even still, you can still hear it. It's intended to be loud and a little bit on the louder side for sure, especially for a 4-cylinder. Now I have the same issues with this vehicle as I did with the last one, and that is the seats are not very comfortable for me. And it's one of those things where you can tell as soon as, like, within 1 minute of you getting in the vehicle whether you like the seats or not. So just keep that in mind when you go shopping for a Mustang like this, to get in the vehicle and make sure you're going to like these Recaro seats. These are the Recaro seats, so they are they are a subjective thing. They are kind of tight, so if you're on the smaller side, you should have no problem, but still, it keeps you in a very limited position as far as movement. So that's something you want to keep in mind. I think with this one, with the automatic transmission, the fun to drive part is diminished compared to the previous one that I drove with the manual. So it's really about the looks. It does look good with the new antimatter blue color, which is great. I love that color, which is new for the 2021 models. It's a new option. And so it does have some new options. It does have the paddle shifters for the automatic transmissions, but it's not a lot of difference as far as 2021. So if you like the way it looks, and you can get in and out somewhat easily, because it is kind of small and cramped in here, especially with the seats. It's a cramped space to begin with, but then the seats kind of like give you more of a claustrophobic feel because they're squeezing you into this one position in the car. Then if those are things that you don't mind, then this is a pretty cool car. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the idea behind a 4-cylinder turbocharged Mustang rear-wheel drive versus a higher displacement engine like a V6 or a V8. Basically because you're kind of accomplishing a similar thing as far as the power on a 6-cylinder that's not turbocharged versus a 4-cylinder that is turbocharged, but you'll probably get better fuel economy with a larger displacement engine that's not boosted. You'll also most likely get better long-range, long-term reliability over a turbocharged smaller engine. So still trying to figure out what the 4-cylinder purpose is in this type of vehicle. But, you know, it's still fun to drive, and it still gets pretty decent gas mileage, and it's the sound of the larger displacement engines sound better to me. But you know, it is a subjective thing, of course. Now, the way the radio is, you can turn it up all the way and it still sounds pretty good. It doesn't rattle or get muddy or anything. It just is a little bit higher on the mids. So it's a little tiny bit of a change in the sound when you turn it all the way up, but it sounds really good. You can crank it up to the max and it's no problem. It still sounds good. As far as a full digital gauge screen here for the gauges, Ford so far has been the best that I've seen, because things are, they utilize the space to where you can see it perfectly. You can customize the colors as well, but as far as the size and things that are, there's very little wasted space on the screen. And also it's highly customizable. So right now I have it in the track view, which gives you massive numbers for your speed, what gear you're in, and this huge bar for your tachometer, RPMs. So it's very, like, you can see it. It's very clear, and it's utilizing the entire screen and not trying to kind of like have these huge empty spaces and little tiny numbers in the center of this huge empty space like some other vehicles. Very well done, in my opinion. It looks good, it's functional, and it's utilizing, you know, the space well. And the customizable colors is just, I mean, that's just like a cherry on top. It's just nice to have customizable colors.